Hello, my name is Jace Haney. I am the executive producer for the Uptown One Love podcast and the founder of Creative Destiny and Empty Suit Productions. I, Jace Michael Haney, would like to formally state at this time that I and those associated with the Creative Destiny company have never once been in the possession or the consumption of illegal substances, and that this is for your entertainment and viewing pleasure. Now enjoy.
What's poppin', everybody? It's your main man, Mr. Uptown One Love. Listen, I have a special guest in the building today. I'm so excited. Oh, my goodness. Oh, the heavens has opened up. Listen, guys, put your hands together and help me welcome to the Uptown Podcast Show, Mr. Jace Haney. What's up, big guy?
Hey, man, I'm just living life. I'm happy to be here.
Man, I'm glad to have you in the building, man. It's exciting to have you here today, man. I tell you, man, it's been a beautiful, beautiful day. It's even got better now that you're in the building, my friend.
Oh, shucks.
You're so silly. Guys, we're going to be we're going to be discussing some issues today. We're going to be talking about sex, drug, and rock and roll. We're going to be talking about that mighty good marijuana. Pass me the Mary Jane. Listen, guys, some people believe in it. Some people don't. It's taboo to others, but medically speaking, it's all right. We're just going to come to you transparent. I'm going to open up my heart, open up my mind, and let you be a part of what we have going on here in the Uptown One Love podcast show. So what's up, Big Jason? How you been, man?
Man, I've been good. I've been real good. I've just been working a lot,
Yeah, doing a lot of work, huh?
Going down to Atlanta. I mean, it's a far drive, but
right.
You got to do what you got to do to make that money,
Yeah, exactly. For those who don't know, Mr. Jace is my producer here. He's live with us, and you finally get to see the face behind the place. You're so silly, man. I tell you, you're awesome. You're awesome. So, man, tell me about, man, what's up with this marijuana thing? Why do you believe that people have such a cliche about marijuana, man? What's up with that? What do you think?
So the history of marijuana, if you do some research into it, there was actually nothing, there was no problems with it until the early-ish 70s.
Yeah.
Where the government decided to outlaw it.
Yeah, because it's about that money for the most part. What do you think?
It was mostly about the money. It was also a way of controlling minorities.
Exactly.
It was a way of basically saying, hey, here's something that a lot of people do, that a lot of people are invested in and a lot of people are interested in. How can we control the masses?
Exactly.
And so there was a couple of laws passed by the U.S. government to outlaw it. And once it became outlawed, the ratio of people who were then sent to jail, particularly in our African American communities,
exactly,
went skyrocketed through the roof.
Because it was another way of getting cheap labor.
Absolutely.
All that plays in the fact they said, man, we can't put them back in slavery, but what can we do to get that cheap labor out of them? Let's arrest them for marijuana.
Yeah. And it was a way of also controlling the government as well, getting certain people into the political powers, because what they did is they would pick up African Americans in different communities,
right?
And they would charge them for marijuana, and then they would send them to different jails in different counties. And so the way that works is, each county has a certain amount of representatives that are then sent to the state, that are sent to the Senate.
Yes.
What they don't tell you is that they count the people in jail as well.
Exactly.
So the African American communities were being picked up for marijuana charges and then sent to majority white counties in order for those counties that happen to be, affiliated with certain parties would get more votes because they had more people.
Right.
It was a way of controlling the masses and also getting who they wanted into government.
Exactly.
So it was all just a huge political scheme.
Well, I'm glad that you're being transparent about it, being true about it, because that's what we know about it.
And it's been common knowledge for a while now that it's been used to manipulate the masses.
Right.
But it's so hard to change these old establishments.
So what do you think we should do about that? Should we just go out there and revolutionize and just pick it? What do you think we should do to make this thing more legalized?
If you want my honest opinion,
honesty is the best policy.
I'm here to give it to you guys. Third party.
Third party.
the American public has been two-party system for so long. And
What do you mean by third party? Educate us about that.
So there's multiple parties that the majority of people don't know about. Like myself, I consider myself to be a libertarian.
Okay.
And libertarian takes views that are both Democratic and Republican.
Yes,
Kinda takes the best from both worlds and
Yes.
combines them together. But the problem is that the media and the other two parties
A majority.
don't take the third party seriously.
Right.
And so the majority of people don't want to waste their votes. So they won't vote for third party because they don't believe that there's enough people believing in it.
Right.
But if I had to sit down the majority of people out there in the world, list of the views of certain parties, 99% of them would be libertarian.
Right. I agree with you. Now, my question is, it's like, so we know there's a crisis, right? We know there's a crisis. We know that jail time is much greater than African Americans than for Caucasians.
Yeah.
We understand why that is, right? And we know that the libertarians, like yourself, and I'm pretty much that as well, but I do lean more so towards the Democrat aspect of things. But I do have have both views on a lot of things, you know. So my thing is like, there's a lot of states that are now legalizing marijuana.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think Georgia's there yet.
No.
What do you think it's going to take for Georgia to get that way?
Honestly, being a part of the Bible Belt, if it ever gets legalized here in Georgia, it will be probably one of the last states.
Right.
Just because more so than any other people, religious people have this concept about marijuana that is just blatantly not true.
Exactly.
Which is that marijuana will corrupt your soul and lead you down a dark path.
But they don't think about that pork they eat.
They don't think about a lot of things, which I have a lot of issues. I was born Southern Baptist.
Yeah.
I was raised Southern Baptist. My grandfather was a preacher. My mom's the preacher's daughter, you know. But I've gone through so much change in my life, and I've done a lot of research, and I've done a lot of soul searching, where I've kind of outgrown the ideas and the beliefs that I was raised with.
Right.
Not to say that I've stepped away from them completely. I think there's a lot of good merit in religion, and there's
you got a good base of understanding.
There's a great foundation there.
But a lot of that's manipulation and control.
A lot of it is, and I think the biggest way to legalize it here in Georgia is just for more information to come out about it.
Right. Why do you think it is that, you know, it's okay to legalize one thing, but not legalize some other things? Like, say, for instance, we legalize cigarette smoking, and that's detrimental to your health. We legalize alcoholism. We legalize a lot of these opioids type of drugs.
Yeah.
But, you know, once again, marijuana is looked at as far as taboo.
Well, it's also because marijuana is classified as I think it's a grade A drug.
Okay.
So it's actually listed on, because they have like this triangle.
Right.
It's actually listed higher than most psychedelics, like your mushrooms and LSD. The government considers marijuana to be more dangerous than heroin.
Okay.
Which is so stupid in my opinion.
That's just a way of control. That truly is a way of control.
It really is. And I can tell you right now, the government doesn't care about marijuana anymore.
No, they don't. Because I've smoked marijuana, and there's no damn way in the world that the side effects of marijuana, well, if there's any, is as great as when I see people that's done LSD and all these heroin and stuff. I mean, no way.
I'll be honest. I have partaked quite a few times.
Okay. Hey, been there, done that, baby.
Been there, done that. I've actually partaked in a lot of things just because I went through a portion of my life where I just wanted to experience things from a different perspective.
Explain that to me.
So when my dad passed away, it left me with a broken foundation.
I understand that.
And so I did a lot of searching. And that searching took me to different religions.
Okay.
I researched and studied a lot of religions. I've become a much more spiritual person.
Okay.
As well as a religious person. But it also led me to experiment and explore with psychedelics.
Okay.
I've done mushrooms.
Okay.
I've done LSD. I've done DMT.
Okay. What is DMT?
DMT, also known as the God molecule, is the molecule that is released in your brain when you die.
Okay.
That kind of helps your body transition from death. It's basically an overload of opioid to help the process of passing away.
Got it.
But it was more or less like, I didn't do it for parties. I didn't do it. And I think if you're going into, especially psychedelics, you have to have a clear understanding of what you're going to do. You have to know, like, you don't go into psychedelics being like, let's get fucked up and party.
Right.
Excuse my language.
No, you're fine, man. This is PG-13, baby. Keep it real.
And I never wanted to take drugs for that reason.
Right. Were you suicidal?
Yeah, I've made 3 attempts on my life. I no longer have those urges anymore.
Okay.
And
what brought you through those things?
My best friend from high school committed suicide senior year.
Okay.
And being that close, because I had planned to take my life the same day he did.
Really?
Yeah. And he happened to beat me to it.
Wow. How long? That's really serious, man. How long ago was that, man?
I graduated 2017, so it's been
just a few years ago.
4 years, yeah.
So you mean to tell me if you would have done that, I would never get a chance to meet you? You would have never been here to tell your story, to share your story right now with the people of the world.
And it's crazy because I look back at it now, and the notion of what I was going to do physically makes me sick now.
Wow.
The concept of believing that I had the right to take away my presence from other people's lives.
Right. Because you are a gift.
Yeah.
To so many people.
Everyone is a gift.
Everybody is a gift.
And I recently learned, fun fact, I actually had a psychedelic trip not too long ago because I was in a very bad place mentally.
Okay.
And when I start heading to a darker place, it's good to take a step back and look at the world from an outside point of view.
Right.
And I do that through psychedelics.
Okay.
And I learned something through my last trip.
What you learned?
I learned that only you know how you express your true love to the world. Which means only you can receive your truest love. So you have to love yourself truly, and then take that love that you experience through yourself and share it with the world.
Wow, I'm so captivated by your story, man, because by looking at you, you would never realize that you've gone through so many things. And that's one thing about people that are going through, they smile on your face. They got a smile on their face, but deep down inside, they are really hurting.
It is. It's very true. It's very true.
What are some of the signs that you would give a person to look out when someone is feeling suicidal or, taking all these particular, drugs and things? What are some of the signs that a person like myself should look for when I'm interacting with people?
Forced happiness.
Forced happiness.
If someone is only expressing happiness when they're around you, there's a good chance that when they're not around you, they're struggling.
Wow.
And I know that was something I always did in high school when I was really, really depressed, was I made sure that I'd make everyone laugh around me.
Wow.
I'd make sure that everyone was having a good time around me.
Was that your disguise?
It was. I would actively go out and search for people who are hurting so that I wouldn't have to deal with my own pain.
Really? That was serious. So basically you're saying, was it the loss of your father or that got you this, or what triggered this to that extreme though?
It was a accumulation of a lot of things. So my father who passed away was not my biological father.
Right.
My biological father abandoned me and my brother when I was very, very young. And the only memory I have of him is abusing my mother.
Wow. You think that could have...
That's definitely, psychologically speaking,
right.
It has a lot that weighs on my heart because of that. But then there's just, like losing my dad was really, really difficult. Just struggling with mental health, like depression and things like that.
That is kind of hard for a young man. I too lost my father, and for a moment there, I felt like, man, this was heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
And there's a lot to it that people don't know, because losing someone that important and that close to you, and in an environment where things aren't that serious, like high school drama.
Right.
Like when you go to school and the worst thing that people are going through is that Jimmy broke up with Erica, you know, and Jimmy's like, oh, my life is ruined. And you're sitting there like, you want to be there and you want to support your friend, but like, your dad is dead.
Right.
You know?
Right. And there's no one, you can't call him anymore or talk to him anymore.
Right.
You know, it's really interesting.
There's a lot of wisdom that you miss out. And that was one of the things that in the years after my dad passed, was very difficult for me, because I no longer had that father figure. You know, there was no one around to teach me about cars.
Right.
There was no one around to teach me about like women.
Right.
And how to treat them and things like that.
Right. That's the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, it's really important that we do not take light. Well, my phone's ringing. We don't want to take these things lightly. We need to really appreciate our loved ones, appreciate those that are close to us. You know, reach out and just tell someone you love them, because you never know what a person's going through. You know, it's important, right?
Definitely.
So.
Definitely. And I think taking this back to the original conversation, I don't have a problem with psychedelics. Mushrooms, they're natural. They come from anything that comes from the earth, anything that is natural from the earth. God gave it to us. Exactly. And he gave it to us not to be abused. Exactly. And I do believe that you can abuse psychedelics. I do believe you can abuse marijuana. You can abuse water. You can abuse water. You can abuse anything. Yeah. And a lot of people, they think that the substances abuse you. No, you abuse the substances. That's right. And you can become addicted to anything. To anything, that's true. Because you can become addicted to the way that marijuana makes you feel. You can't become addicted to marijuana because your brain has THC receptors. Explain that. So your brain has receptors for a bunch of different molecules. You know, it has a dopamine receptors, serotonin receptors, things like that. So there's a receptor in your brain that's already built in for THC. And because those receptors are there, you can't physically become addicted to marijuana. Okay. It is impossible unless you were born without the receptors, and some people are. Okay. But for the most part, people are born with THC receptors, which means they can't become addicted. Right. That's the reason why some people get on marijuana and like next thing they're not doing it anymore, and it's easier than someone who's got on crack. Or yeah, you can just quit it like it was never a part of your life in the first place. Right. And a lot of people, they do quit from months at a time just because you build up a tolerance to it because you have those receptors. And people will stop smoking for months at a time so that when they go back to it, they can experience it. They get that good, like was the first time. Right. Exactly. Okay. Well, you know what, man? I tell you, we're going to take a little break here, man. I'm really excited about what you're talking about, man. I love your transparency. Keep it real. Keep 100. I'm your main man, Mr. Uptown One Love. We're going to take a little short break. I'll see you guys at the top. Refresh yourself on the page. Replace yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back from our short commercial break. I'm just excited to be here. As my special guest, we have Mr. Jace Haney's in the building. Mr. Jace Haney, welcome back, man. Welcome back. We were discussing, man, this the whole thing on marijuana and just being addicted to certain type of drugs and just experimenting with certain type of drugs. How are you now? How is things going with you now? Things right now are better than they've ever been in my life. Okay. And I can say that with an open heart because of just how much I've come to realize how much I'm loved and how much I truly love myself. Right. Which is, if you've ever struggled with any kind of mental health, that's a hard lesson to learn. Right. To love yourself? To love yourself. Why do you think that's so hard for people to love themselves? What makes it difficult for people to love themselves? Well, I came to the realization the last time I had my psychedelic trip. I came to the realization that no one is born hating themselves.
Right.
So any hate that you accumulate in your life is external.
By bullying.
It could be by bullying. It could be trying to live to the expectations of others.
Of mother and father.
A mother or father, whether they mean to or not. There's sometimes they put stipulations on you.
Pressure.
And societal pressures, societal norms. So I've come to the realization that if you take a moment and put away society and you spend time with yourself without internet, without, social media, without things like that, where it's just you.
Yeah, that's what I try to do every day. I try to spend at least 30 minutes to an hour of just total woosah.
Yeah.
Total relaxation.
And I've come to the realization that when it's just you and you're not thinking about societal pressures and you're not thinking about like past experiences,
right,
it becomes real easy to love yourself.
Right. When you talk about the psychedelic things you've taken, what does that look like in your mind?
For me, it's taking a moment to step outside of my body and looking back at who I am as a person, as an individual.
Is it almost like an outer body experience?
It very much can be. It very much can be. I will tell you personally, I've been higher on marijuana than I've been on any psychedelic.
Okay.
But psychedelics, they're a different type of feeling.
Okay.
And that experience just comes with like state of mind or where you're at in life, things like that. But for me, it's more of like having my conscious come out to speak to me as a person. And that can be super helpful. It could also be super hurtful depending on the environment that you're in. People have had quote unquote bad trips. And I've heard a lot about them. I've never personally had a bad trip.
Right.
But I have heard of the experiences of having a bad trip. However, anyone who's ever had a bad trip has come back to tell me that they needed it.
Oh, wow.
That
they needed to have a bad trip?
They needed it because even though it was bad or scary or things were awful, it taught them something that they needed to learn.
Right.
And I think good or bad, when you trip and you have to experience the world in a different mindset, because you experience the world in a different mindset, you do learn.
Yeah, I guess any experience is a learning experience.
Everything is a learning
regardless
experience.
if it's positive or negative.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced meth or crack or anything?
No. I stay away from drugs that I know are not natural.
Got you.
So if it doesn't come from the earth, if you can't identify the plant that it comes from, if it comes from a lab, I just don't touch it. Okay. It was not meant for man.
Got it.
God created, plants, like sassafras. You chew on sassafras, it cleans your teeth.
Right.
That's what the Native Americans did.
You drink coffee, you use a bathroom.
Very much so.
Like I said, every natural herb, that seed-bearing plant, is natural for the body.
Right. And
some form of fashion.
It has some sort of functionality to it.
Yes, it does.
So the mushrooms I've experimented with mushrooms, and LSD.
Is LSD a natural herb?
Yeah, it comes from the morning glory plant.
Oh, okay.
It's derived from LSA, which is from the morning glory plant.
What would be the morning glory plant? That's not a lily or anything like that, is it? Or
I don't know what it looks like. Okay. I just know that that's where it comes from. There's another plant too that you can get it from.
It's called morning glory plant. Okay, I'm gonna research that.
Morning glories, if you eat them, you will die.
Really?
They're extremely poisonous. However, you can isolate certain molecules from it, and that's where you get the LSA. And then from LSA, you derive LSD.
Got it. Okay, I understand.
Yeah. Wow. I would advise anyone who's thinking about taking psychedelics, do your research. Do your research. Don't go into it being naive.
Right. And we're not promoting it, ladies.
No,
we're not promoting LSD or any of those drugs. But he's just being transparent with you, to be honest with you. If you are out there in that particular arena, make sure you research what you're doing.
Yes.
We are not endorsing that. I want to make sure that's perfectly clear.
I want to make it really clear to you guys. I'm just telling you my experiences. And I know that if someone comes across this video and they become, or they're already interested in having that experience, there's nothing we can really say that's going to stop you.
Right.
So if you've made up your mind to try psychedelics, I want to make sure you do it safely.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very important to me.
Okay.
So if you want to try it, and I'm not saying you should, I would actually advise against it. My life has led me down this road, and I'm not necessarily, promoting it by any means.
Right.
This is just how I ended up in my life, and this is how I've came to be. And I can definitely say I can advocate for good sides of drugs, and but there's definitely bad sides, particularly the part where it's illegal.
Right.
All right. Like, it is a felony. You could go to jail for a really long time. And the fact that I'm openly talking about it,
right.
That puts me in a position that is, I have to watch my back every day of my life because I choose to break the law. So don't do it. I'm saying don't do it. But if you've made up your mind, be safe.
Right.
Do your research. The most important thing.
And once again, I want to make sure that I want to end on the fact that we're not endorsing that here.
No.
But we are keeping it open for dialogue. Okay.
The most important thing when it comes to experimenting with psychedelics is have a trip sitter.
Okay, that means someone like a babysitter to watch and keep an eye on
like a
you.
neutral party that's making sure that you are okay, that you're in a safe environment, that you are feeling okay. If things are going negative, that they can kind of redirect you in a positive manner. Okay. You want to surround yourself with people who you trust.
Okay.
You don't want to be around people who are going to mess with you when you're in a different mindset.
Wow, this is a whole different arena that I never knew was out there like that. You know?
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you're sharing it with people so that way they can be more aware.
Yeah, well, I've done some research, and I believe it's Oregon. Oregon's actually opening up a facility for psychedelics.
Yeah, Oregon, the state of Oregon. Oregon is wide open up there.
They're crazy. But they're especially with like psychology and psychiatrists, and they're opening up the concept of using these psychedelics as a way of helping people mentally when they're struggling with mental illnesses. There was a study that I read that this older gentleman was losing his eyesight, and he went to one of these clinics, and they're like, we can't like tell you to do this legally,
right?
But if you want some help, try this,
right,
quote unquote thing.
I'm sure there's probably forms and everything you have to sign. You think?
Yeah, absolutely.
When it comes to information like that.
Absolutely, and right. he did try it, and it helped him with his vision, even after he stopped tripping.
Wow.
Okay. So there's a lot of facilities out there that are now starting to look into, plant-based psychedelics.
Right. Now, the only thing, when the setback when it comes to drugs, of course, you have a lot of negative setbacks. As far as people becoming addicted to it. Yeah. To the point, especially that crack. Yeah. What is it called? That crack and what's the other things out here? Ice.
Cocaine, ice, heroin.
Heroin, yeah. That's a negative.
Those are
concept.
bad. I do not, for any reason, ever.
Yeah.
Do
you believe those 12-step programs work for people?
As far as rehabilitation?
Yeah.
I've seen it. I've seen people come out of therapy, out of rehab, but they're never quite the same. Right. And I think that's very important for you to understand. And I've never been quite the same after experimenting with psychedelics.
What has changed in you? What's some of the things you notice different about yourself? Is there more of a paranoia about certain things? Is there schizophrenic things about things?
For me, it's being more open-minded.
Okay, so
there's positive and negative reactions to any given situation. And for me, psychedelics, they've changed the way that I approach looking at the world in a much more understanding light. Just because I feel like now I can look at someone who's having a hard time in their life. And I can be like, I get where it's coming from.
Right.
You know, I can
you
see it.
experience that hurt. You know why they're hurting.
Yeah, and I can understand why people turn to drugs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of the few people, one of the fortunate people who happen to take that turn in life and come out okay.
Okay.
But there's a lot of people who don't.
Right.
And that's why I advocate for not doing it. You know, I'm a special case. I will admit to being that.
Make sure you say that again.
I am a special case.
Right.
Right? I had a really bad past.
Mm-hmm.
I made a choice to walk a road, and I was fortunate enough to come out better for it. That's not the case with everybody.
Right. We're going to make sure we stress that.
I can't stress it enough. And I want to put it out there that I don't necessarily delve in that realm anymore.
Good.
That was a part of my life that happened. I got what I needed from it, and I moved on.
Right.
And I want to put that out there for the world that I did what I wanted it to do. It did for me what I wanted it to do.
Right.
And I no longer feel the need to experiment with it anymore.
That's good to know. I'm glad you came over the mountaintop.
Came over the mountaintop. I got to see the horizon, the sunrise on the other side.
Wow. Luckily, it's not lucky, but I'm proud of you. I'm glad that you were able to share this information because it's very important. And ladies and gentlemen, I've always wanted to let you guys know here on the Uptown Podcast Show, we're going to be coming to you with information like this. So I don't want you to think that we're going to be in a box as we share information. I want you to take this and learn from it. Share this information with someone that may be going through so they have a certain type of understanding what it's all about. All right? Listen, guys, it's been a great show. You know, I'm really excited and glad that you came through and opened up your heart to share. Is there anything else you want to share before we close out?
Just because my experiences were positive, doesn't mean that everyone else out there is going to be. I was fortunate enough to have good people in my life that kind of guided me through that experience.
Speaking of people, it's important to have people around you for support when you're going through.
Yes, especially mental health. If you are struggling with depression, if you're struggling with anxiety, anything, reach out to someone, anyone.
That's good. That's real good.
If you feel like you reach out to someone and they don't validate your feelings, don't close up. Keep trying.
Keep trying.
Keep reaching out because it's important, especially in this day and age where I think there's a generational disconnect.
Yeah, I believe that too.
My generation struggles with a different type of depression than maybe your generation came from.
Right.
But it's still depression.
It's still depression, yeah.
And it's still hard on your mind, your body, your soul. And you need help that's okay. It is okay to need help. And it is okay to reach out. And I would advocate for the rest of my life doing that. Seek help. Don't necessarily turn to drugs. Don't do that. That's not the right step.
That's good.
I can openly admit that I took the wrong step. I went down the wrong path. Now I happen to come out better for it.
Right.
But I can still admit that I went down the wrong path.
Well, that's good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. You have it all the way live here from the Uptown Podcast Show. My main man, Mr. Jace Haney. I appreciate you, man.
Of course, anytime.
I appreciate you coming through. I appreciate you being transparent and opening up yourself for the world to see. We're not judging. We're not hating. We just appreciate.
Here, it's all about the love, baby.
That's all about the love. Listen, guys, this is your main man, Mr. Uptown One Love. Stay tuned for more podcast shows. We love you guys. We love you guys, and we will see you at the top. Deuces, baby.
There we go. There we go.
All right. Great show, man.
Cut.